What's up, friends? This is Manni, and let's have a look at the real fortress in War Robots, the Bulwark that convinces us with not just a strong energy shield of 300,000 durability, but also a strong physical shield beneath that, and a lot of HP on top. So this thing really brings all the tank capabilities to play in War Robots. We're running it here with the Seeker drone for quantum stealth and more shield durability and regular durability, right? So it makes sense. And also Tobias as the legendary pilot for the Bulwark. So let's walk in. You see, the Bulwark is not exactly the slowest of all robots. It is decently mobile. It can be played. It's not bad. And at button press, you get your 300,000 energy shield capacity. Now, the Bulwark does have a bit of a difference though compared to other shield tanks like the Dagon or even an Erebus, a Typhon, or something like this. It doesn't recharge its shield unless you deactivate it. That is a very big difference. So when you deactivate it, your Bulwark will activate the physical shield in the front to block damage that are energy based, for example. But it begins to recharge the Aegis shield, but it will not recharge the shield while it is active. That is a massive difference that you may not be used to when you're playing other robots such as a Dagon, but chances are if you're playing a Dagon and you have that, you probably already had the Bulwark before. But yeah, so that is a major difference, but nonetheless 300,000 energy shield capacity is so much that you regenerate quickly enough to, you know, make use of it plenty of times, and by doing so extend the health of your Bulwark instead of the 400,000 HP to perhaps 2-3 million, depends on how often you can recharge the shield and block damage with it, right? Obviously, shield break is a major topic right now in War Robots, due to Dagon, due to Ophions. People have shield break on many of their robots in their hangar, be it as a ability from a Harpy or Siren legendary pilot, or be it a Crisis robot that will do it, and so on, right? But the Bulwark can kind of counter that, because if you see someone shield breaking, you can swap the shield, deactivate the energy shield, and simply block the damage with your physical shield for a while. Since rockets are almost never in use in War Robots, because Pixonic for some reason must hate rockets. They must hate them, because they're making them the worst weapons that they could possibly ever be. Shortest range, terrible usage with slow traveling, splash damage always so minimal that it's barely even noticeable. I don't know, somehow Pixonic must really hate rockets. I don't understand why. They love energy weapons and they hate rockets, because they really go out of their way making all rocket weapons in the game as bad as they could be. Just ask this Fenrir that we have in front of us. You think what chance does he have for ever bypassing, ever breaking through this Aegis shield? It's an Aegis shield that doesn't even recharge, and he can barely break through. Now sit him in front of a Dagon robot that will recharge his shield very quickly while it's active. Yo, those rockets are just worthless, seriously. The range is also so short of all rocket weapons. I'm losing myself in a different topic here, but I feel like it needs to be said. It's weird. You know, energy weapons are the type of weapons that typically should lose damage output at range, because they pass a lot of particles in the air as they move along and travel through, and they lose their efficiency at range, which in War Robots is completely backwards. The energy weapons somehow keep their full damage output, while rockets that are literally self-propelled projectiles should have an easy time traveling a far distance and keeping their full explosive potential at the end of that. It's very odd that rockets are so slow, so little splash, so hard to regenerate firepower with, always on the low end of the DPS spectrum or DPM. Yeah, I stand by that. Pixonic hates rockets for some reason, and I don't understand why. To me, those are the most beautiful weapons in any game. Big freaking rockets flying in your face, that is what rocket combat is all about for me. But yeah, so we've just lost the first Bulwark here, but we've done 6 million damage with it. Definitely not a bad match, I would say, and also not a bad robot at all. it is definitely not the meta. Let's be honest here. It's not a meta robot. You're not going to win the fights against Ohokochis, probably not even against Ophions, even after the nerf, and you're certainly not as dangerous as some of the other setups on the battlefield, but if you play it well, you can really play this for a long time due to the constant shield and tankiness, and with 2 heavy weapons still apply a lot of firepower. We're using the 2 Subduers here in this example, which right now is probably the most powerful and most broken heavy weapon you can put onto it. Each and every single one of those heavy weapons performs more like 2 heavy weapons of the regular normal War Robots game that we knew before Subduers, but that's just War Robots in a nutshell. You get a new weapon, and it has to be twice as powerful as the weapon normally should be, because otherwise Pixonic seems to think people are not interested in it. I keep telling them for years that, you know, interesting content can be interesting. It doesn't have to be broken. You just have to be creative releasing stuff. But why should you be creative if you can just add the same old laser weapon that every other weapon does too, and just make it twice as powerful, and people buy the heck out of it because it's breaking the game and makes them twice as powerful as they should be, right? Why be creative if you can just do that? 600 meters range, instant kill, short reload, perfect accuracy, shield bypassing, adding a rust effect that prevents healing. All that paired with a super quick unload, and yeah, why creative, right? Sorry, I'm feeling a little sarcastic again. I wish there would be more of an effort made to a healthy balancing game. And things weren't so obvious, the exact opposite. Look at Tamer and Damper that are now getting nerfed because, well, they were breaking the game with their 600 meters range and the instant kill damage and so on. But guess what? What's not getting nerfed? That's right, the Subduer will keep the 600 meters range, the same full damage potential from the start. Why? Not because it's different or any less breaking the game. No, it's because it was added to the game 1.5 or so months later, so it didn't have as much time to make sales yet, right? It would be therefore too early to nerf it and balance it. So they let it ruin the game a little longer until all the sales happened, and then it gets nerfed. I'm sorry, but you just can't take this game serious anymore. There's just no way. As soon as you begin to understand what's going on and how they're willing to completely destroy it just to make some extra bucks in a competitive multiplayer shooter where player versus player, you're abusing the competitive nature of players that obviously want to have an edge and win against other players, want to feel strong and powerful, and completely abusing that until you could literally not abuse it any further. I mean, the next step is literally throwing nukes that completely destroy all 6 enemy players instantly, and allow you to do that just because you pay for it, right? I mean, that is really the next step. But let's forget this for a moment. I've had my fair share of sarcasm now, and let's just look at the Bulwark. It's kind of the reason also why I go into older robots from time to time and just distance myself from this environment. Yes, I am putting the Subduers on it, so I'm still guilty, I know. But this way at least I can show you some exciting old Bulwark gameplay. If I put Glacier on it, the heavy version of the useless rockets I mentioned earlier, then I can tell you what I wouldn't do. Much. So yeah, I would have to get extremely close, expose myself to pretty much every cannon on the red team, and I would get killed very quickly. Not necessarily because the weapon can't deal damage, but it is hard to use. Travel slow, so you will miss a lot of shots. The ammo capacity recharge is too slow, and of course you have to get so close that everybody is going to be able to shoot you back. That is the biggest difference, I think. By the way, you're constantly seeing how I counter stealth robots, or even Titans in that, for that matter, because of that one Seeker drone. Another thing that I'm not sure if it's a good idea to allow a drone to always passively see stealth. That seems completely insane to me. But again, I don't want to get into any more sarcasm. I think I've done enough of that today. There's a Newton Titan right there. I know the Newton is there. That means I know I'm going to die from it now. It's just a matter of time until he gets into a position where he can lift me up and kill me. Yeah, but so far it seems like he's busy. So maybe I can just not get lifted because he's doing it to somebody else. I'm using every chance I get to shoot at him, obviously, because... oh, there we go. I'm dead now. Phase shift, 40 power cells spent. Then bringing up the physical shield that's no longer working. Still lifted, and dead. Great! I'm glad I spent 40 power cells for that. I mean, in this case, it's a press account. Yeah, it has basically unlimited resources, but this could have been you, ladies and gentlemen. This could have been your 40 power cells going to nowhere. Yeah, those of you who follow the channel will know about the update changes announced for the 9.8 update, where the choke gets a bit shorter duration and a bit of a longer cooldown. But the Titan, as I've mentioned earlier, will stay banned here on the channel because the problematic is still not addressed. You can still be lifted through the walls at 800 meters range, and you're still going to have to somehow hope to survive that lift and the shots coming at you without any defense that works against it. Until that frickin' anti-control does its goddamn job against it, until there's an immunity to choke after being choked, so that cycle choking is no longer be a case, and so on. Until these things at the very least are addressed, this Titan will stay banned here on the channel, and there will be no Titan content featured with it until Pixonic does literally their job. But yeah, let's see what happens there. I am here meanwhile with the Muromets. Interesting Titan too. I like the Muromets. It runs great with a lot of weapon setups actually because of the stealth. The stealth is something that other Titans for the most part don't have. Some robots can counter stealth, the Titans typically don't. And although they could, right, with the quantum sensor if they equip it, but they, at least in the Champions League, I rarely see people running it. And if they do it, then they have most of the time maybe one quantum radar module on it. By the way, look how all three players come around the corner to whoop me. Seriously, guys? It's that important to you? Okay, guess I'm dead now. Yeah, so most of the time when I see it, Titans don't really have it, and so the Muromets gets to do a really good job on the battlefield. And that works with most weapon systems actually pretty well, so it doesn't matter what you put on it, I mean, unless it's at least something somewhat working. You know, there are weapons that are simply useless no matter how you put it, but if you use something halfway useful, it will work. Even Cataclysm and Cyclone could work quite well, but of course not against, for example, a Root with its physical shields. And also something I think the weapon should do a bit more damage at range. These weapons do have 600 meters range, and just look what the homing bullets can do at 600 meters range. Just look what other weapons, Titan weapons, can do in terms of damage at 600 meters range. And then look at Cataclysm Cyclone. Not even regular robots seem to be really affected by the damage at the max range. So what good does it do you that you can shoot this far if you're not really doing any damage with it? You're just depleting your clip, forcing yourself into a reload, exposing yourself to enemy firepower for getting nothing in return. The weapon should do more damage at range, period. And that same goes also for Scourge, Spark, and Calamity, if you ask me. Those weapons should not just have a theoretical 600 meters range. If they shoot this far, then the damage should be noticeable at that range, you know. And I think there was a time too when these weapons actually did more damage. I'm not quite 100%, but I feel like they did a lot more damage back in the past, and then that changes somehow. Anyways, we did 12 million damage. A lot of that was the Bulwark, not all of it, of course, but overall the Bulwark is fun to play. It is a good robot, and it's not the meta, but it can be used pretty well, and I like when a robot, older robot can be used. So thanks for watching, guys. Tell me what you think in the comments, and Manni signing off.